All right, right here, you don't see too often, is a Hall of Fame ballot. It's mine. And I looked at this and I wanted to, first of all, talk about a couple of votes that I made in the past. One that I'm really proud of and one that I regret horribly. Start with the big regret. That was for Kenny-Lofton. I failed to vote for him the 1 year he was on the ballot. My brain just checked totally out, and I didn't even really look at things. For example, Tim Raines is a Hall of Famer. Tim Raines' stats are very similar to Kenny-Lofton. You know, Lofton played in the steroid era. A lot of guys were hitting a lot of homers, and he didn't. Am I positive that Kenny-Lofton should have been a Hall of Famer? No. Do I think he should have remained on the ballot for a while for those of us to vote for him? We have a time to think about it. Yes. So my biggest regret is Kenny-Lofton. He only got like 2%. You need 5% of the vote the first time you're on the ballot to stay on for a while. And that explains why I voted for a guy named Michael Young. Michael Young was a career 300 hitter with an 880 OPS. 300 hitter, 880 OPS. Played a variety of infield positions with the Texas Rangers mostly. He only got 2%. He's off the ballot. I think that's a guy that people look back and say, boy, the voters dismissed him. By the way, who are the voters? The voters are members of the Baseball Writers Association, like myself, who've been in there for 10 consecutive years. So you could say, well, maybe broadcasters should vote or whatever. I'm not going to debate that. I think, for example, Tom Hamilton would have a really good reason to be able to vote. And I think Rick Manning's done the games on TV for more than 10 years, stuff like that. That would be fine to me if you wanted to open it to those guys. Yes, they're paid by the club, but I think in general, you know, they would have as good of viewpoint as I do. All right, the vote I regret was Lofton. The vote I'm proud of, didn't last for very long, was Albert-Belle. 9 consecutive years of 100 RBIs, one of the most fearsome hitters I've seen. I think he was only on the ballot 2 years and then gone, didn't get enough votes. I thought a lot of people held Albert's personality and stuff against him. His career was also cut short by a significant hip injury, but Albert-Belle was a Hall of Fame hitter. So those are some of the things. Now, look at my ballot. And the guys that made the Hall of Fame, I voted for them: Mario Rivera, Edgar Martinez, Mike Mussina. I was very glad Mussina made it. He's been on the ballot for a number of years. He is much like Bert Blyleven and Jack Morris. These guys have pitched a lot of complete games, and I think all three are Hall of Fame worthy, and they should have been in the Hall of Fame much earlier. Okay, then you have Roy Halladay's another one, so I voted for all the guys that made it. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. Omar Vizquel. Omar, we all love Omar. Up to 43%. You need 75% to get in. 75% is the magic number of the votes. He's at 43. He's up from a year ago. But you'll see another strange name on my ballot, Scott Rowland. Rowland played third base for a couple of different teams. Why is Rowland on the ballot? In my mind, the same reason Omar is a Hall of Famer to me. Superior defense. You know, we get so hung up on the stats of how many home runs a guy hit, batting average, slugging percentage, all kinds of other stats that show, you know, the WAR, their WAR, their OPS. Scott Rowland was nearly as good a third baseman as Omar was as a shortstop. And I'm trying to, when I do the voting, value defense. So if I'm voting for Omar, I'm voting for Rowland, and that's a guy there so that you look at these things. And I hope as time goes on that Rowland will get in the Hall of Fame, and Omar, because it's more about just hitting the ball. Catching it should matter, especially at positions like third base or shortstop. So looking back over my Hall of Fame ballot and other things there, Billy Wagner only got 17% of his vote. This is a guy with a career 2.30 ERA, 2.30, a guy who converted 86% of his saves, kind of a forgotten relief pitcher who was tremendous in his day. But for your Cleveland Indians fans, I want to just talk about 3 players. Omar should be in the Hall of Fame. Albert-Belle should be in the Hall of Fame. And I regret that I didn't vote for Kenny-Lofton so he would stay on long enough for a lot of the voters. And we do talk to each other to say, wait a minute, take a second look at this guy, because Kenny-Lofton was dismissed way too early.